Hello everyone, and well, today we're going to talk about a very difficult topic that most of the time a lot of students of English have difficulties in learning. These are the so-called irregular verbs in English. And today we're going to take a look some distribution that I found very useful, because in that way it'll be easier for you to understand and basically to apply it. And well, my name is Eduardo Miranda, and I will be your teacher while we learn this new content. Hopefully, it will be best for you. Um, well, it is so complicated. If we want to know a certain rule that will make you to remember their meaning and how to apply it, that is really difficult. But you will get to you will as you speak. Within the time you're going to practice, and you will be acquiring that knowledge. So today I'm going to call and I'm going to mention to you four different groups. And for the group number one, we're going to see the verbs which have the same base form, the past simple and past participle. So these are just a few of the examples of these verbs that you're going to find. For example, we have the verb coast, cut, hurt, let, and put. These are the most commonly ones that don't change in the past simple or past participle. So, how to use them in a sentence? It is really simple. We're going to use the base form for the simple present tense, and we're going to use it in a sentence like this: I cut the paper. What if I use it in the third person? I would say like, she cuts the paper. But in the example that I'm showing you now, I use the first person for singular I, and I say I cut the paper. We're going to go to the past. This is one of the easiest one because don't change. So as we see in the simple past tense, we have I cut the paper. But in this case, you're going to emphasize that you did it yesterday by adding yesterday at the end of the sentence. So you can say, I cut the paper yesterday. So by saying yesterday, you're going to indicate that you did it in the past, not now. We're going to use the past participle, and we're going to use for this example the the present perfect tense. For this example, I'm going to use this example. For example, I have, which is part of the formula to form the present perfect tense. So I can say, I have cut. I have cut the paper since May. So I began cutting the paper in May. I'm doing it, and probably will be doing it. We don't know for how long. That's how we can apply this irregular verbs. And as I said, there is no magic rule, magic formula that you can use to remember them all. As you practice, you're going to get used to it. This is in one group. So you may wonder in the present perfect tense, what if it is a third person? Obviously, if it is a third person singular, you're going to say, she has cut the paper since May. That's how you're going to apply it on a daily basis. Well, that was not that difficult, was it? So, we'll go over the next one, and for that one, we're going to use the group number one. I'm sorry, this is for you to remember it again. So, we're going to go to the group number 2, and for the group number 2, we're going to find the verbs, irregular verbs in English, which have the same past simple and past participle. We're going to take a look at some of the examples that I have. So I have the verb bring, buy, catch, feel, and find. As you see, these do change. These ones do change in the past. As we have brought, bought, caught, felt, and found. The same goes to the past participle. It's just going to be on the way you use it that you're going to identify which one to use. Let's take a look at some examples. For example, I have for the simple present tense, I'm going to use again the personal pronoun I, and I can say that I bring the paper. I bring the paper. Let's go ahead and check a sentence in the simple past. And I say, I brought the paper yesterday. In this case, it's not necessary to add yesterday to emphasize when you did it, because in this case you can identify that it's a past because of the form of the verb. So it is in simple past, it's brought, so you can say you did it anytime in the past. It shouldn't be specifically yesterday, but anytime. And the good thing is that in the past participle, that doesn't change either. As we're going to see in the present perfect tense, we're going to use again the simple present perfect tense. The present perfect tense, and we're going to use this example. I have brought the paper for a month. So I've been bringing the paper for a month. I brought it today, and we'll probably will continue bringing it anytime in the future, and till any time in the future. So they can say that I have brought the paper. So this is one of the uses. So the only difference that you can see here is that we have the verb have brought. The auxiliary have brought is making the simple present, the present perfect tense. Yeah, so if you remember these basic rules, you will know how to apply it in which scenarios. That wasn't quite difficult either. So here again we have some examples you can use. There is more. I just decided to choose these ones for you to have it as reference, and whenever you see this type of irregular verbs, you will know how to apply them. Well, let's continue to the third group. In this one we have the verbs which have the same base form and past participle. So the only time that the form of the verb changes is in the simple past tense. Let's take a look at some examples, and we can have here the verbs come. In the past simple it's came, in the past participle it's come, and we also have become, became, and become again. So as you see, the base form of the verb is the same as the past participle. We're going to take a look at some other, like we have run, ran, and wrong. So let's take a look at some of the examples. Like I have for the simple present tense, I have the sentence I come to study English. I'm using the simple present tense, and I'm going to go to the next one, which is the simple past tense. I came to study English yesterday. Again, it is not necessary to emphasize yesterday, since you can say it for any time in the past without specifying which time was it, which time that was. So we go over we're going to check now another example for the present perfect tense. For this present perfect tense, let's see, I'm going to use the example with I. Do you remember which one goes next? Sure, it's the auxiliary verb have. So I can say I have, and as you remember, the base form is the same as the past participle. So we're going to say that I have come to study. I have come to study English for a week. I began last week, I came today, and probably will continue in the future. So this was some of the examples that we could take a look at that in order to see how they work. And at last but not the least, we're going to check now the group number 4. For these verbs, which have a different base form, past participle, and a base form, and the past simple and past participle. Let's take a look at some of the examples. So, as we have the verb to be, which is sometimes a little bit difficult for new learners, but as we see, the base form is be, which can be when it is already used, conjugated. We can see the be is for am, for first person in singular, and for this, then we have for the next group for I, you, we, and they. This we can use are. We're going to use are, and for the third person in singular, we're going to use is. That is just for the base form for the present tense. For the simple past, we simply use was. For the first and third person singular, and where for the you, we, and they. So there is no place, no option that you can confuse them as long as you practice them. And for the past participle, we have been for all of them. And also we have the verb begin, past simple began, begun, break, broke, broken, choose, chose, chosen, do, did, and done. Let's take a look at some of the examples. For the simple present tense, I can say I am happy for the verb to be. Then for the simple past tense, I can say I was happy yesterday. Again, it's not necessary to emphasize yesterday because you're saying was, I was, and obviously you can imply that was done sometime in the past, and it is better if you emphasize it, but you don't have to. So then we go for the present perfect tense. We're going to use the past participle form. You remember it was being. So we say I, modal auxiliary verb, have, and then the past participle form, which is been. So I can say I have been happy for a month. I've been happy the whole month. I am happy now, and I will probably be happy for a few months, days, and years. We don't know for how long. And another example that we're going to check now is for the simple present tense. It's going to be this sentence: he begins the homework at school. So, as you know, it's a third person singular, and we add the S. He begins the homework at school. So that was not that difficult. We're going to check now in the past when the form does change. But for the simple past tense, we're going to use he began the homework yesterday. And we have began is the simple past form of the verb, and at the simple past tense conjugated is he began the homework yesterday. Again, you don't need to add yesterday if you don't want to. You can say just he began the homework. You can say if the people you're talking to are familiarized with the context, they will understand you properly. But you can say yesterday about to emphasizing the time it was done. And for the present perfect tense, we're going to use the past participle, and we use he, modal auxiliary verb, has for third person singular. So we can say he has begun to do the homework. He has begun to do the homework. So he began probably yesterday, and he continues doing it now, and he will probably do it tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. We don't know how long it's going to take for him to finish. So these were some of the examples. As we have these examples again in, let's see, the reference of the content that I'm giving you now can be found on this website at Wall Street English, and how to learn regular and irregular verbs, even though in this case we just focused on irregular verbs, which are more difficult for me. And on the description of the video I'm going to leave also some links that you can find the more useful commonly, the most commonly used irregular verbs if you want to learn. And if you want to go deeper into the content, I'm going to leave the list of the 600 irregular verbs that you can use, and for you to get used to practice and making your sentences anytime you want. So that has been this content for today. Remember that if you didn't understand a content that I explained, you can go back on the video and watch it again as many times as you want until you acquired the content. So it's been a pleasure. Again, my name is Eduardo Miranda, and have a good day, time, wherever you are, anytime. Have a good week.